Many of the models I've shown on my channel feature custom decals that I've designed, then printed at home on an inkjet printer. You might think that this is some type of voodoo, but really it's not. Recently I saw an ad for this HP printer for only $39. My first thought was, would it print decals? So I brought one home, and let's see what happens. So I've opened the box. We have some paper, manual, words, more words, colorful instant ink, free ink for 3 months, probably won't need that. Instant setup guide, that's probably important. We'll put that over there. And more words. 2 ink cartridges. First impression, these are small. Probably be using these a lot. I don't know, we'll see. It's 40 bucks. Put those over there. And 1 power cord, that's probably important. And let's see if we can get this out. It is sealed for our pleasure. Okay, let's unseal it. After plugging it in, I followed the setup instructions, and in less than 10 minutes, I think the printer would be ready to print decals. In order to print decals, you need to have decal paper. So I got these. First up, clearly, inkjet water slide decal. Clearly. Only for inkjet printer, yes. And I haven't used this brand before. This is the cheapest kind you can get on Amazon right now. So with this being a model car builders are cheap demo, let's see how this works. It is suitable for printing on all of these kind of things. And I thought it was interesting. This is the white, and it is clearly from China. So hey, you can make Jeff Gordon cars, and you know, all these other things. Maybe wine, whatever that is, with weeds growing out of it. So actually has instructions. Seems like they both have the same instructions. What is this? 9 steps. 2 of them involve a hairdryer, sharp objects, yeah. What is step? Dry ink with hot air blower or dry it naturally. Okay. Use clear varnish. Okay. Whoa. Step 9. What? Bake it in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes at temperature of 100 or 110, or dry it by nature for 1 to 3 days. Do not put your model in a toaster oven. Bad idea. Do not do that. No. So to make decals, the first thing you have to do is have a subject matter. So I have this Chevelle body left over from the GTO group build, and we're going to just use this as the guinea pig. The next step is to size the model to create the art for the decals. So you will need tape. I have thick blue masking tape. So we're going to rip off a piece of it and apply it as so, like you would be masking your paint job. So I'm gonna do a design here and maybe a design back here. So let's see what we come up with. Peel that off and stick it on a piece of paper. Then place this on the scanner glass to scan this template into the computer. Open the scanner software that comes with the printer and create a scan of the template. I find increasing the resolution is helpful. I like 600 dpi. Now it's time to create some art. This is a very personal process that is way beyond the scope of how to print decals on a cheap inkjet printer. But to make sharp decals, you have to have sharp artwork. To create artwork for your project, you don't need an advanced degree in art, but you will have to be a little computer savvy. I use Adobe's range of creative software. It's the industry standard, but that's not to say you can't use what you might be more familiar with. I open the scan template in Adobe Photoshop. I crop it straight, and then I double check its size correctly. Vector art is best for decals. There are many sites that have free vector artwork. I could draw it if I desired, but for this project, I'm going to just pick some free flames. The size template is then placed in Adobe Illustrator, and a few minutes later, I have some flame artwork sized to fit the Chevelle. The next steps are how I deal with the biggest limitation of inkjet printers. They lack the ability to print white. This requires planning your design around that limitation. I place the vector art back into Photoshop at 300 dpi. Pay attention to the black background in this design. This is important for when it prints on the white decal paper. To achieve the airbrush look, I applied some basic layer effects. To create what will print on the clear paper, I duplicated and mirrored the art, then adjusted the color slightly. Notice this is now on a white background. You might be thinking, what about all that stuff in Google Images? Can I print those? You don't know if you don't try, but be aware, you must use high-resolution versions. As a test, I'm going to see how these Super Sport emblems can print. So here is the decals printed on regular paper. Do this first because you want to cut these out and see if they fit your model before you start burning up the semi-expensive decal paper. So let's do some paper dolls now. So to test the printed artwork, we go back to the 67 Chevelle. I've painted this with Tamiya TS45 Pearl White. And then on this side, this is just Tamiya Gloss Black. And no primer. Just a couple of coats, and it has pretty nice gloss to it. And you will need the gloss to apply the decals. Don't try to apply the decals to a matte. They're not going to, A, stick, and they're going to leave you a lot of the film behind it. That's another trick. So to size, here's our paper doll flame. And yeah, I think that's going to fit pretty good. And I also included some numbers because, you know, I think a lot of people just want decals to build race cars. So this was just a number, a font that I picked and applied the same kind of blend that I did on the flames. So these appear to fit. So let's actually print the decals now. Let these dry naturally for a couple hours. A hair dryer is not necessary. So here are the decals after They've dried naturally, and then I applied about 3 light coats of Tamiya TS13 clear to seal the ink, because it's inkjet, it's water based, and if you don't do that, they will smear as soon as you put them in the water. And so hopefully we got a nice finish on these, and we're ready to put these on the model. But first, a word about the trimming. Since these aren't typical decals like what's in your kit, this is just one giant decal. And so they have to be trimmed very carefully. That is why they're on black background, because you'll never be able to get in between the O's and the M's and the E's. I guess you could, but I mean, even on these little super sports, nope. So why I typically have this black, I'm gonna trim as close as I can to it. I might not get into all of these licks on the flames, just to kind of show you how that looks. If you care to trim that out real fine with an X-Acto, that's totally up to you. It'll make it look better if you're really careful trimming them, but we'll see how it looks just on the car as it is. So I've trimmed out the decal, and I decided not to do all of this in the flames for illustration purposes. And same thing with the 3. I'll leave those pieces in there. Trim the 1 pretty tight. See how that looks. And of course, Tim Custom Models, yeah, that's a no bueno, trimming that out. As is the photo of the big Super Sport. That printed pretty nice though. And then, to really test it, we did a Super Sport in the actual size of the emblem on the back of the car. We'll see what that looks like. Let's get some water. Okay, so here are the results of putting the decals that I printed on white paper on the black car. And if you look, yeah, you can still see the difference of the color between the black decal and black car. But I don't know, you get back, it looks okay for a nice shelf model. And the other thing I've noticed is the opacity of the white paper. It kind of lost a little bit of its vibrancy, and I don't think it's gonna really show up on the video. But one thing that was kind of neat is the detail of the small Super Sport script. Will it focus? Maybe, probably not, without a reflection. That was okay. How you could trim it, I don't know. One thing that you kind of have to watch, I don't know again if this will show up, is you got to be careful with these decals, because you can nick the ink off of the white and it will leave little white specks, and there's a little bit on the edges here, but this is one of the limitations of this. So that shows you how the white paper works on dark. Let's move to the clear. So here I've trimmed the clear decal paper, and again, these are okay because this is clear film, and so you won't really have to trim inside of those, and same with the numbers. So I kept them together, and we're going to just put them on. have now put on all of the clear decal on the white paint. And they came out looking pretty awesome. I would say that they rival, basically any kind of commercially available decals. I was particularly impressed by like how fine the little Super Sport script is on the small, and the photo of the Super Sport. Those actually printed quite well. I know what you might be thinking. Why don't we put the clear film decals on the black side? Well, we'll see what happens. Here's the 13 that we used on the passenger side. Don't get in the water. See what happens when we put it back here. So the issue here is inkjet ink is extremely translucent, and it's designed to print on white paper. So when we slide the decal that is only printed on clear and put it on a black, it's going to disappear. And there you have it. I don't even think you could use it as a pearl. And now you can see it magically appear when it slides over to the white. So that's why you have to print on white paper if you're printing on anything other than a white, or maybe even, I've printed on yellow and it's okay, even other medium value colors, but always test, because sometimes your colors that you think are gonna look good on a different colors due to the transparency, they're gonna change quite a bit. And that's the results of decals that were printed on a $40 printer using $5 decal paper. If you understand the limitations and consider that into your designs, many of those limitations can be overcome. And it opens the door to all kinds of custom schemes to make your model truly unique. I hope this inspires you to try making some decals for your next model. And always, like, comment, subscribe, you know what to do, because I have all kinds of model car stories to tell. Thanks for watching.